Is it unmuted one there?
Hare Krishna.
On Zoom.
Radha Krishna Prano Jugala Kishore Radha Krishna Prano Jugala Kishore Jivane marane goti আর নাহি জীবনে মরণে গতি আর নাহি রাধা কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ মোর যুগল কিশোর রাধা কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ কালিন্দির ফুলে কেলি কদম্বের বন কালিন্দির ফুলে কেলি কালিন্দির ফুলে কেলি কদম্বের বন কালিন্দির ফুলে কেলি কদম্বের বন রতন বেদিরায় উপর বসবধু রতন বেদিরা উপর বসবধু রতন বেদিরায় উপর বসবধু রতন বেদিরা শ্যাম গৌরী অঙ্গে দিব চন্দনের গন্ধ 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 চামর ঢোলাব কবে ফেরিব মুখ চন্দ্র চামরা দুলাব কবে ফেরি মুখ চন্দ্র চামর ঢোলাব কবে ফেরি মুখ চন্দ্র চামরা দুলাব কবে ফেরি মুখ চন্দ্র রাধা কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ যুগল কিশোর রাধা কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ মোরা যুগল কিশোর জীবনে মারণে গতি আর নাহি জীবনে মরণে গতি কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ মোর যুগল কিশোর
রাধা কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ
গাথে আমালতির মালা দিব দোহার গলে গাথে
মালা মালা দিব দোহার গলে
গাথে আমালতির মালা দিব দোহার গলে গাথে
মালা মালা দিব দোহার গলে
আধরে তুলিয়া দিব কর্পূর তাম্বুলে
আদর তুলিয়া দিব কর্পূরা তাম্বুলে
আধারে তুলিয়া দিব কর্পূর তাম্বুলে
আদরা তুলিয়া দিব কর্পূরা তাম্বুলে
ললিতা বিশাখায়াদি যত সখী বৃন্দ
বিশাখায়াদি যত সখী বৃন্দা
ললিতা বিশাখায়াদি যত সখী বৃন্দ
বিশাখাদি যত সখী বৃন্দা
আগায় করিব সেবা চরণার বৃন্দ
আগয়া করিব সেবা চরণার বৃন্দা
আগায় করিব সেবা চরণার বৃন্দ
আগয়া করিব সেবা চরণার বৃন্দা
শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু দাসের অনুদান
কৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু দাসের অনুদান
শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু দাসের অনুদান
কৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু দাসের অনুদান
সেবায় অভিলাষ করে নরতম দাস
সেবায় বিলাস করি গরতম দাস
সেবায় অভিলাষ করে নরতম দাস
সেবায় বিলাস করি গরতম দাস
রাধা কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ
রাধা কৃষ্ণ প্রাণ মোরা যুগল কিশোর
জীবনে মারণে গতি আর নাহি
জীবনে মরণে গতি আর নাই মোর gati Aranai Mora
Radha Krishna
Haribo, Jai 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 Sri Radhesham. So Mataji, you just come, you want to do a bhajan? Yeah, if you want, we'll bring a mic over to you. Jai Raghupati ji, welcome. And Vinod Manji, Prabhuji. Ramanji is waiting for you. Okay, so the mic, look. Take this one. Heel Premadanga. You can go over there. I tell him to sit over there with the mic up. Mataji singing there. Oh, you want to go over there by your son?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Please sit there. It's here. Which song are you singing? What's that? Okay, I don't know that one, but you sing it. So you'll have to respond to yourself. Huh? What a super. Yeah. Oh, always do that. Okay, this is the mask, this is mine. Maybe Shankar.
The song name is Bada Super Khabardar, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. The Bhakti name is like Kitavali, the name of it. Bada sukher khabar gaay, bada sukher khabar gaay, bada sukher khabar gaay, bada sukher khabar gaay. Surabhi kunjate namahat kuleche, Surabhi kunjate namahat kuleche. Kodanitai, 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 Kodanitai. Baro mojar katatai, baro mojar katatai, baro mojar katatai, baro mojar katatai. Shraddha mulle shuddha naam, sei haatete bekar. Shraddha mulle shuddha naam, sei haatete bekar. Kodanitai, Kodanitai,
Goranitai, Goranitai.
Jata bhakta vrindavasi, Jata bhakta vrindavasi. Adhikar dekhe naam, beche darokasi. Adhikar dekhe naam, beche darokasi. Kodanitai, Kodanitai,
Goranitai, Goranitai.
Yadi naam timbe bhai, যদি নাম কিনবে ভাই আমার সঙ্গে চলো মহা জনের কাছে যাই আমার সঙ্গে চলো মহা জনের কাছে যাই খোদানিতাই খোদানিতাই
গৌরানিতাই গৌরানিতাই
কৃষ্ণ নাম তুমি কিনবে কৃষ্ণ নাম কস্তুরি লইব আমি পূর্ণ হবে কাম কস্তুরি লইব আমি পূর্ণ হবে কাম খোদানিতাই খোদানিতাই
গৌরানিতাই গৌরানিতাই
বড় দয়া নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়া নিত্যানন্দ বড় দয়াল নিত্যানন্দ সদা মাত্র লয়ে বেদে পরম আনন্দ সদা মাত্র লয়ে বেদে পরম আনন্দ খোদানিতাই খোদানিতাই
গৌরানিতাই গৌরানিতাই
एक बार देख ले चक्षे जाल
एक बार देखे चक्षे जाल एक बार देखे चक्षे जाल
गौरा बोले निताय देन सकल संभाल
गोरा बोले निताय देना सकल संभाल
खोदानिताय खोदानिताय
गौरानिताय गौरानिताय
देना शुद्ध कृष्ण शिक्षा
शिक्षा
देना शुद्ध कृष्ण शिक्षा जाति धन विद्या बल न करे अपेक्षा
जाति धन विद्या बल न करे अपेक्षा
खोदानिताय
गौरानिताय गौरानिताय
हमने चारे माया दास हमने चारे माया दास
हमने चारे माया जाल हमने चारे माया जाल
गृह ताको बने ताको नाका के रंगा
गृह ताको बाने ताको नाका के गंगा
खोदानिताय खोदानिताय
गौरानिताय गौरानिताय
अनैको कालेर भाई अनैको कालेर भाई
आरनाइको काली बॉय आरनाइको काली बॉय
पचंडाले देना नाम निताय दयामय
अचंलाले देना नाम निताय दयामय
खोदानिताय
गौरानिताय गौरानिताय
भक्ति विनोदा की कोय
भक्ति विनोदा की कोय भक्ति विनोदा की कोय
निताय चरण बिना आर नहीं आचरण
निताय चरण बिना नहीं आचरण
Namaste
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Jai Ho. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Jai Hari Bol, Hari Bol, very nice. You know, this is my favorite song, but I don't know the words. I think Agni Dev? Agni Dev. He sang a long time ago. I used to always love it. Yeah. Well done. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'd like to ask Naval Prabhu to do the Mahamantra. And then Raghupati ji is here. We're really excited. We're going to have a wonderful class. Jai Radha Madhava. I mean, his singing is good. His class is good. What can you say more? We're waiting for the nectar. So if you come in.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Very nice. Thank you. That was very, very sweet. And welcome as well, Prabhus and Prasad. And we're getting used to Sunday programs here. Otherwise, for 2.5 years, we didn't have it. So we got this square. So we're not used to that either. It's like material world. You can put into compartments. So like to thank Pujari Dev, who always manages the temple by himself. And I think it's nice for him, Pujari Dev at the back, to see all these people. And we're looking forward to a wonderful class by Raghupati Prabhu. He's getting ready. And we know Manjari is here as well, and she likes Prem Manjari. Both Manjaris are sticking together. It's a Manjari club. And they're meeting each other after, I think, 3 years? 3 years or so like that. And it's so wonderful. Thank you for coming, Srila Prabhupada gave us beautiful names and his disciples, they gave us beautiful names, and each name has a wonderful meaning. Otherwise, it's Pinky, Bittu, all this kind of thing, it doesn't take you anywhere. Never mind back to Godhead. I mean, having a job, and you're going for a job and name like Bittu, who's going to give you a job. So, Raghupati, please come. I'm just introducing you. So, Raghupati ji is so special that every time Anuragi sort of says, we got a slot to fill, he obliges. And he's such a demand everywhere else. And we look forward to his classes because no matter how much we read, there's always something he brings out which we didn't read. I don't know how you do that. It's his presentations he's been presenting as a teacher, and he knows so many secrets. And I always enjoy your class. And also you got a lovely voice and you sing with lovely bhav. And Srila Prabhupada gave us, that whatever you got, you can use in the service of Krishna. Singing, dancing, and prasadam. Prabhupada says practically recreation. This is how hard this religion is. But we do know that if you follow the temple program, it is hard. You get up early morning, do all those things and everything. So lovely to see you. And I'll give you the mic now and sing Jai Radha Madhav. I think he needs a bigger.
Sri Sri Sachinandanitai Chand ki jai. Tignath Vallabh Subhadra Mai ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Radha Madhav ki jai. So we feel very fortunate to be here today. And now it feels like the pandemic is gone to some extent because we are able to see the devotees, see the deities. And when Anuragi asked me to come today, I said, this is such a relief because we'll see wonderful deities, we'll see Sachinandana Taichan, and we'll see devotees, Haridas Prabhu, Vidar Prabhu, and the devotees here. So it's so wonderful to be here again. And seeing the devotees face to face, it just makes such a difference. So let's start with Radha Madhav. And Coventry Temple has kept the devotees rejuvenated, enthused through their very innovative online programs in the last 2 years. So now Haridas Prabhu and Vidar Prabhu are training the new generation of leaders here. So many devotees are giving classes, and you have the series of lectures on topics. So whenever there is a festival, the festival really starts in Coventry like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah. So Narsingh Chaturdashi is coming, and devotees have been relishing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, for last couple of weeks. So I'll carry on the discussions that have been going on. Yeah. And we will see where we are up to. So let's start with Radha Madhav, short Radha Madhav. and then the discussions. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Gopi Jano Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jano Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Shodhanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Jaya Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Yamuna Tiravanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Radhava Madhava Radhi
Jayo Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhi
Jaya Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhi
Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhi
Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram
Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram
Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra
Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra
Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chand Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chand
Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chand Sachinandan Jaya Nitai Chand
Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Gurudeva 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 Jaya Gurudeva
Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya
निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नमस्कार ब्रह्मंस प्रभुजी का आचार्य श्री श्रीमद कृष्ण कृपा मूर्ति श्री भक्तिमान महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य शहीदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय श्री मथुरा धाम की जय श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय श्री श्री सच्चिदानंद निताय चांद की जय जगन्नाथ बल्लभ सुपुत्र माई की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, and there will be two verses that I wanted to read. So let me just get the verses. Chapter 5, and we'll cover today verses 4 and 5. So, Canto 7, Chapter 5, and I'll read the verse 4, and then we'll read the purport from Chapter 5. It's very, very famous verse, and a wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada. So, chapter 5, verse 4. एकदा असुर राजपुत्रम अंकम आरोप्य पांडव अपृच्छ कथितां वत्स मन्यते साधु यद् भवान् एकदा असुर राजपुत्रम आरोप्य अंकम आरोप्य पांडव अपृच्छ कथितां वत्स मन्यते साधु यद् भवान् एकदा असुर राजपुत्रम अंकम आरोप्य पांडव कथिता अपृच्छ कथितां वत्स मन्यते साधु यद् भवान् एकदा असुर राजपुत्रम अंकम आरोप्य पांडव अपृच्छ कथितां वत्स मन्यते साधु यद् भवान् एकदा असुर राजपुत्रम अंकमारोप्य पांडवा अपृच्छिकत्तां वत्स्य मन्यते साधु यद्भवान् एकदासुरात् पुत्रम् अंकमारोप्य पांडवा अपृच्छिकत्तां वत्स्य मन्यते साधु यद्भवान् एकदासुरात् पुत्रम् अंकमारोप्य पांडवा अपृच्छिकत्तां वत्स्य मन्यते साधु यद्भवान् Children, follow, follow. हाँ, बच्चे बच्चे हाँ हाँ बोल एकदासुरात् पुत्रम् अंकमारोप्य पांडवा अपृच्छिकत्तां वत्स्य मन्यते साधु यद्भवान्. Okay. So I'm just going to read the translation. Huh? On Mataji. Bolo, bolo. Nahi?
Please, we're going to run short of time.
Yeah. My dear King Yudhishthir, once upon a time, the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, took his son Prahlad on his lap and very affectionately inquired, "My dear son, please let me know what you think is the best of all the subjects you have studied from your teacher." So now we move to verse 5. The discussion will be on verse 5. So I'm just going to read the verse translation and purport. Shri Prahladu Vacha Tat Sadhu Manya Survar Hidehina Sada Samudyugna Dhiyam Asadgrahat Hitvatmpatam Grahamandhakupam Vanam Gato Yad Harima Shrayeta. So translation and purport. Prahlad Maharaj replied, "O best of the Asuras, king of the demons, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body and temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because of having fallen in a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. One should give up this position and go to the forest. One, more clearly, one should go to Vrindavan, where only Krishna consciousness is prevalent, and should thus take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So I'm just going to read this very famous purport, this verse in purport. So purport now. Hiranyakashipu thought that Prahlad, being nothing but a small boy with no actual experience, might reply with something pleasing, but nothing practical. Prahlad Maharaj, however, being an exalted devotee, had acquired all the qualities of education. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana sarvar gune tatra samasate suraha harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavatu bahi. One who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna consistently manifests all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods. However, he who has no devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no good qualifications because he is engaged by mental concoction in material existence, which is the external feature of the Lord. So-called educated philosophers and scientists who are simply on the mental platform cannot distinguish between what is actually Sat, eternal, and what is Asat, temporary. The Vedic injunction is Asato Ma Jyotirgama. Everyone should give up the platform of temporary existence and approach the eternal platform. The soul is eternal, and topics concerning the eternal soul are actually knowledge. Elsewhere it is said, Apashitam Atmatattvam Grihesu Grihmedhinam. Those who are attached to the bodily conception of life and who thus stick to life as a grihastha or householder on the platform of material sense enjoyment cannot see the welfare of the eternal soul. Prahlad Maharaj confirmed this by saying that if one wants success in life, he should immediately understand from the right sources what his self-interest is and how he should mold his life in spiritual consciousness. One should understand himself to be part and parcel of Krishna and thus completely take shelter of his lotus feet for guaranteed spiritual spiritual success. Everyone in the material world is in the bodily conception, struggling hard for existence, life after life. Prahlad Maharaj therefore recommended that to stop this material condition of repeated birth and death, one should go to the forest, one. In the Varnashram system, one first becomes a brahmachari, then a grihastha, a vanprastha, and finally a sannyasi. Going to the forest means accepting vanprastha life, which is between grihastha life and sannyas. As confirmed in the Vishnu Purana, Varnashram acharvata purushen parapuman Vishnu aradhyate punsa. By accepting the institution of Varna and ashram, one can very easily elevate himself to the platform of worshipping Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, if one remains in the bodily conception, one must rot within this material world, and his life will be a failure. Society must have divisions of Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. And for the spiritual advancement, one must gradually develop as brahmachari, grihastha, vanprastha, and sannyasi. Prahlad Maharaj recommended that his father accept vanprastha life because as a grihastha he was becoming increasingly demoniac due to bodily attachment. Prahlad recommended to his father that accepting vanprastha life would be better than going deeper and deeper into griham andhakupam, the blind well of life as a grihastha. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore invite all the elderly persons of the world to come to Vrindavan and stay there in retired life, making advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Mama Gyantim Randhashi Gyananjan Shalakya Chakshul Mirtamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitan Manobhishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadkamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagaraghunatanmitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanutansya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinamandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastate Tapti Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwahanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalptarubhayasya Kripa Sindhubhe Vacha Patitanam Pavane Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasani Gauru Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langheti giram yet kripatam hamande Paramananda Madhavam. Ajanulimbit bhujau kanaka vidhatu Sankirtanak pitro kamlayataksho Vishwambharo Dujvaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Prikaro Karunavataro. So going back to the verse before, verse number 4, and then we'll discuss verse number 5. Ekda asurrat putram ankam aropya pandava papracha kathitam vatsa mannate sadhu yad bhavan. So first of all, we like to ask the blessings of senior Vaishnavas, His Grace Haridas Prabhu, His Grace Vidur Prabhu, Her Grace Premanjari Mataji, and Vidurani Mataji, and all the Vaishnavas. It's such a pleasure to be here and see the devotees face to face. And we seek blessings from Mataji, Premanjari Mataji. It's so nice to see you here in front of Gonitai and the temple. Wonderful. So this is a conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and his father. The conversation is started very well. In a fatherly way, Hiranyakashipu took Prahlad Maharaj on his lap. And there are descriptions that actually when he took Prahlad Maharaj on his lap, he smelled his head. So when parents smell the child's head, the duration of life of the child increases. And this is a sign of affection. So smelling head, normally parents do it. To small children, they show their affection and they smell their head. So when Hiranyakashipu was smelling Prahlad Maharaj's head, all the ecstatic symptoms were apparent. The tears were coming from his eyes, and he was feeling ecstatic because he was touching a devotee on his lap. So he was feeling very happy, so overwhelmed with ecstasy, with so much love. So out of affection, he asked his son. And the way he asked his son is so sweet. So you can see that Hiranyakashipu was not a bad father to start with. But he showed his demonic character only after hearing Prahlad Maharaj's reply. So when we read this verse, it's so sweet. He's speaking in such affectionate terms. Ekada asur samrat putram aropya pandava paprich kathitam vatsa. My dear son, please say kathitam. So kathitam is spoken in Sanskrit and in very respectful terms. So out of respect, sometimes the father would call his son as Tat, although it's supposed to be the other way around. But out of affection sometimes. And similarly, a father would call his daughter Amba, Mata, out of affection. It's supposed to be the other way around. That the daughter is always respectful to the father. But out of affection, Manu Maharaj, the father of mankind, when he was giving his daughter Devahuti to the Rishi, Kardam Muni, out of affection, he was crying and calling her Amba. So Hiranyakashipu is showing the symptoms of a good father. And he is full of affection for his son. So out of affection, he is speaking in very respectful terms. Just like we see in Indian families, sometimes The parents speak to children very respectfully. Instead of saying tu or tum, they'll say aap in Hindi. So similarly, Hiranyakashipu is saying Kattita, please say Bhavan. So Bhavan is very respectful terms used for gurus, parents. But Hiranyakashipu is using this term to his son, Bhavan, aap. In Hindi we will say aap. So Kattitam Vatsa, my dear son, Kattitam, please tell me, Mannati sadhu yad Bhavan. What do you consider is the best thing you have learned? What do you consider sadhu, the best thing? So sadhu means in Sanskrit, good, best thing, sadhu. So please tell me, what do you consider is the best education? Best out of his education, what is it? This is similar to asking children, that which school do you go? And they say, oh, I go to this school. Okay. And what do you study? I study this, this, and this. Which one is your best subject? I like history. The children speak like this, affectionately. I like history. Oh, wonderful. I also like history. So this was the conversation, simple conversation. And Hiranyakashipu did not expect much from Prahlad Maharaj. But the answer he heard completely bewildered him. So instead of discussing this verse in purport, we are just going to discuss the next verse and the purport. Although there's a beautiful purport Prabhupada has given, particularly summarizing the state of education. So in Bhagavad Gita, the famous verse in 9th chapter says, Raja Vidya Raj Guhyam Pavitram Idumattamam Pratyaksh Augamam Dharmyam Susukham Kirtamabhyam. So Krishna is saying that this is king of education. What Arjuna is learning in the battlefield of Kurukshetra is king of education. Is king of education. And it's very difficult to say what is king of education. I've been working, teaching in higher education, so-called higher education, in the universities and colleges in the UK for many, many years now. It's very difficult to say what is the highest form of education. Nobody can say it. I can't say it. Other scholars, experts of their field, they can't say what is best education. Nobody can say. Because this is a debatable topic to say what is the highest form of education. It's debatable. If I say business education is the best, then somebody who studies philosophy say, no, it's not. If somebody who studies philosophy says philosophy is the best, but somebody who studies sciences, they'll say, no, it's not. So it's debatable. No one can say what is best of education. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has given very clear instruction, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam Pavitram Idamatvam Pratyaksh Augamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartamabhyam. That the spiritual science that Krishna is revealing to Arjuna is the best of education. So in Krishna consciousness, this is such a beauty. The beauty of Krishna consciousness that everything is crystal clear. So in Sanskrit, this is called Hastamlakvat. Everything is Hastamlakvat. What it means, it's like seeing an amla sitting on your hands. So amla is already transparent. But when you take an amla fruit, and look at keeping on your palm, it becomes very, very clear. It's already transparent, but it becomes very clear. So this example is used in Sanskrit to see that I can see clearly. So in Krishna consciousness, everything is hastam lakvat. Everything is crystal clear. There's no confusion. When we hear Prabhupada's lectures or read his books, there's no confusion. Because from the very beginning sentence, from the very preface of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada makes it very clear that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And believe me, this is such a relief to know this and understand this and believe. It's a very big relief. Having spent like 5 years in the university studying philosophy, Indian philosophy, and in Indian philosophy, you got 6 Vedic philosophies, and you can spend your lifetime studying them. Then Western philosophical systems. So I studied philosophy for some 5 years in the university. And it's a mess, really. It's confusing. It's a messy subject, philosophy. Messy in the sense that there is no clarity, because every other philosopher is counteracting the arguments of the fellow philosophers. And this is called philosophy. Naso muniyasya matam navinnam. You can't call a muni or rishi a rishi unless he has refuted the argument of another muni. So this is very confusing. But the good thing was that I studied philosophy as an academic subject, having read Prabhupada's books. So I was saved. So that saved me. And I was praying to Prabhupada as well. Please, I'm studying this as academic subject, but please allow me to remain faithful to your instructions. Because we had to study one of the subjects as Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta, Shankaracharya's Vedanta philosophy as one of the subjects. And I was just very nervous studying Advaita Vedanta, praying to Prabhupada, Mahaprabhu, that I don't want my mind to be messed up. And the amazing thing is that I got the best mark in Advaita Vedanta. Then Mahaprabhu's Achintya Veda Ved. So maybe I don't know Mahaprabhu's Achintya Veda Veds as well. So coming back to the subject, Prahlad Maharaj has been asked a question. So Hiranyakashipu did not think that Prahlad will give the deepest, the most prolific answer he had ever heard. He thought in a childish way, he will simply say, my dear father, I like economics. No, I like politics. Because this is what he was being taught by Shandan Amarka. In the background, Prahlad was sent to the Gurukul of Shukracharya, entrusted under the tutelage of Shand and Amarka. And they were sons of Shukracharya, very learned Brahmanas. Shukracharya's learning is so wide and so prolific that sometimes he is considered even better than Brihaspati. So learned he is. And so much so that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that amongst the learned Brahmanas, I'm Shukracharya. So Shukracharya is one of Krishna's opponents, according to Bhagavad Gita. He's so learned. So his sons are also very learned, but they are learned in the mundane subjects. The same mundane subjects which are taught in the universities. And Prabhupada calls the modern educational institutions, schools, colleges, universities as slaughterhouses. So I'm not very proud to say that I work in the slaughterhouse. But that's just part of the job. So modern education called as slaughterhouses. And why is that? People may not like it. They may think, they may say that, no, this is very harsh. How can you call the schools, the colleges, the universities, where the government is spending billions of pounds, millions and billions of pounds of funding, how can you call them slaughterhouses? So from a spiritual point of view, they are slaughterhouses. Why? Because there we only learn how to deepen and broaden our ignorance. Yes. Why ignorance? Because this will blind our eyes, it will blind our mind, it will blind our intelligence from spirituality, from spiritual life. So we only learn, and this is what we teach in the modern universities and colleges, that how to become a qualified dog. This is what we teach. Prabhupada calls it doggish mentality. So in the universities, you spend so many years becoming engineer, doctors, philosophers, lawyers, accountants. But at the end of it, if you can't find a job, then your education is useless, worthless. And the problem is that more and more unemployment is increasing. So this is creating a doggish mentality. That once I'm educated, then fill out the application form. That I'll be the best dog for your company. Please employ me. Application form. I asked one devotee, he got a job in investment banking after finishing his master's. So I asked him, how many applications did you put? He said he put 300 applications. 300 applications to get one job, well-paid job. And of course, now he is materially well situated. So this is how hard it is. So Prahlad Maharaj did not give any importance to material education. What he is saying is very, very pertinent. So he answers his father, not considering what was being taught in the Gurukul of Shukracharya in the subjects like economics, political science. He did not like them. Prahlad Maharaj was a very good student. He learned everything he was being taught, everything, including economics, political science, philosophy, everything he learned. But he just didn't like them. He also learned the art of archery. So Prahlad Maharaj was a great hero. He was such a powerful hero that one time he fought with Lord Vishnu, Lord Pitavas. Prahlad Maharaj was going to Naimisharanya, and on the way, his worshipable Lord Pitavas, wanted to test him. So he challenged Prahlad Maharaj as a Kshatriya. And Prahlad Maharaj literally fought with Lord Pitavas. Pitavas means Lord Vishnu, who wears yellow clothes. Pitambar, Pitavas. And that pleased Lord Vishnu very much. What time is Aarti? So we can just finish. 20 minutes? Continue. Okay. All right. So he defeated Lord Pitavas, Prahlad Maharaj. So powerful, such a powerful hero. So Prahlad Maharaj was a very good student. But when you compare the mundane education with the spiritual education, there's a gulf of difference. So I'm not saying that children should not go to school or college or university, because the education prepares you to become a qualified dog. But in harsh terms, this sounds harsh, but that's the reality. After graduation, in the third year, before fourth year, the university will encourage you to start working on your CV. Put your CV right. And then you start connecting with the employers of your choice. Okay. Yeah. So the children who have been in the school, college, and university, that's the reality. that prepares you to become a servant. So when Acharya speak, like Prabhupada says, modern education being the house of slaughterhouses, or the graduates are simply becoming qualified dogs. But that's the reality. We're looking for a good boss, good master, putting an application. One application on average will take 5 hours, and you'll end up to find a good job putting at least 100 applications, depending on which industry. So Prahlad Maharaj is now saying this to his father in clear terms. He says, Shri Prahlad Vacha, Tat sadhu manne asur surya, asur varya dehina. What he considers as the best of education is given here. So what Krishna says, Raja Vidya, this is what Prahlad Maharaj considers the best of education. Sada samudigna dhyam asad grahat hitvatma patam graham andhakupam vanam gato yad harim ashrayet. Prahlad Maharaj replied, O best of the Asuras, king of the demons, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, he says, from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body and temporary household life is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because of having fallen in a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. That's why Prahlad Maharaj considers the material education as not of much value, because this simply increases our anxiety. It thickens our ignorance. It thickens our bodily concept of life. Like material education, Bhaktivinoda Thakur considers as if you are putting a turban. So bigger and thicker and more hefty your turban, there is more chance that if you are falling in an ocean, you'll be the first one to sink. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur considers material education. Jada Vidya, he calls it Mayar Vaibhav. So this is Mayar Vaibhav, Maya's opulence, Maya's bewilderment. So Prahlad Maharaj considers material education as of not much value because this simply increases our anxiety. So you become a graduate, then anxiety, where to find a job. And once you find a job, then anxiety, how to pass your first 6 months of temporary period. How to find a permanent job. And if you are on a graduate scheme, then it will take you 3 years till you can prove that you are worth of investment. So it increases our anxiety. And then once you are settled in a job, then anxiety of finding a house, getting married. And when you got those sorted, then children, then their education. Yeah. And then after their education, their marriage. So it increases anxiety constantly. So Prahlad Maharaj is pointing out that tat sadhu manne asurvari dehinam sada samudigna dhyam asadgrahat. So material education encourages us to consider something which is temporary to be permanent. So advice Prahlad Maharaj gives his father is that, my dear father, you have lived in the household life for too long. Now I think you should give up your household life and go to the forest. Hitva atmapatam graham andhakupam. So please consider, these are the words of a Mahajan. So they may sound very harsh and they may conflict with what we consider in material life, what is the best thing. So these are words of a Mahajan, which will dispel our ignorance. So it's not to say that we should not become educated or find a job or get married or have children, but we should consider that this thickens our ignorance. Therefore, Krishna consciousness should be accepted with immediate certainty, immediately, with so much importance. So, vanam gato yad harim ashrayet. So, my dear father, I consider this the best education, that one should take shelter of Lord Hari. So, when Hiranyakashipu heard this, he started trembling with anger. He thought that I entrusted my son. And out of many sons, Hiranyakashipu had many sons. Sanlat and other sons were there. Prahlad was very dear to him. So he thought, I entrusted my dearmost son to Shanda Namark, and they have completely spoiled. Because what to say of valuing his education, which I'm giving him, he is trying to educate me. No? That I think you had enough. You have been enough. Now it's time for you to become a Banprastha. So this enraged him. And Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that what to say of Prahlad, his own son, even great sages like Narad Muni used to come to his palace singing his glories. Not only singing his glories, but chanting his Pranam mantra. They would enter Hiranyakashipu's palace chanting his Pranam mantra. Om Hiranyakashipu Namah. And then Hiranyakashipu will greet Narad Muni. Oh, Narad Muni, please come. Yeah. So that was the etiquette in his palace, that even Narad Muni will have to chant his Pranam mantra, praise him, then Hiranyakashipu will pay attention. Here, his own son is teaching him a lesson and saying, look, my father, I think you have been in Grihastha life for too long. I think you should retire. One time I was talking to one professor. So he spent 3 years studying in London, then he went back to Aligarh, which is not far from Vrindavan, and he used to come to Vrindavan. So I asked him, okay, what are you doing these days? He said, I like to spend some time in the factories, but my children are telling me that there's no need for you to come here. So basically, he was kind of jobless, and nothing to do. But at least he was coming to Vrindavan, which was a good thing. So he used to come. But this is what happens. The children, when they grow up, they think the parents are becoming burdensome and they should retire. So Hiranyakashipu didn't want to hear this, that his son tell him that I think you should take Banprastha. The father does not expect from son to tell him what to do. It's the other way around. Because the father has been nourishing the son, training him. They think they should be one teaching. So Hiranyakashipu heard this and he became very enraged. And out of anger, he throws Prahlad Maharaj from his lap. Now let's come back to the teaching that has been imparted in this verse. So Prabhupada makes a point that our Krishna consciousness movement invites all the elderly persons to come to Vrindavan. He says all the elderly persons in the world to come to Vrindavan. Vanam gato yad harim ashrayet. To go to Vrindavan and take shelter of Lord Hari. Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki jai. So take shelter of Krishna, Shyam Sundar. So Grihastha life is a difficult journey. Most of us are Grihasthas, apart from one brahmachari. So Grihasthas, talking about Grihastha life, yeah, is awkward. But we have to see through the through the eyes of the scriptures. So Prahlad Maharaj is a Grihastha himself, and he is a Mahajan. And he thinks that Grihastha life is Andhakupam. Graham Andhakupam. It's a dark well with no water. It's a dark well. Because there are uncertainties. Just like in a dark well, there are uncertainties. So although a dark well covered with grass looks like a well. Now those of us who are brought up or have seen the villages, you know, sometimes there are dark wells with no water. And the grass grows in those dark wells. So nobody goes there. Those who know, they don't go there because they know there's no water. It can't quench your thirst. But time to time, in the villages, a traveler will come. The traveler doesn't know whether there is water or not water. So when the traveler sees the well under the scorching sun, might go there to find some water. But when he sees under the well, he sees there's no water. Or if there's grass, then there's a possibility that traveler might go down the well and become implicated in bigger problem. Just like in Srimad Bhagavatam, you find the Shukracharya's daughter and her friend, they fought together. Sharmishta and Devayani. So then Devayani was thrown into the dark well. The well. So Grihastha life is a dark well. Now whether we realize this in our 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s or whenever. But at some point we'll have to realize this. Yeah. If you realize in 40s, you're very fortunate. On my 40th birthday, I asked my Guru Maharaj for blessing. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So he gave me his blessing. I told this to Haridas Prabhu after talking to him. And he said, but 40, you're 40. So he said, yeah, happy birthday. He gave his blessing. He said, now you're getting older. So he reminded me that now you are getting older. But when I told this to Vidal Prabhu said, I don't even remember when my 40s was. So at some point, we have to remind ourselves through the words of the Acharyas, Mahajan, like Prahlad Maharaj, that Graham Andhakupam. This Grihastha life is Andhakup, a dark well. So Grihastha life is entered thinking that there will be water which will quench our thirst. And if we find a dark well, then our attempt to quench our thirst is frustrated because there is no water. So Krishna's Maya potency is very powerful. She convinces us that there is water. I told you there is water. At time to time we think, but no. I heard in Bhagavatam classes, it's a dark well. But Maya says, no. There may be a dark well, but there are also nice wells there, which are not dark, which have water. So with the hope that this well is going to be a good sweet water well, sometimes a brahmachari enters the dark well. So thinking there is sweet water, but those of us who lived in villages, we know that there are wells which have sweet water, but there are also wells which have not so sweet water. If you drink the water of some of the wells, it's so harsh that you can't quench your thirst. It's like drinking the water from the ocean. But there's some sweet water well. So it so happens, so that is material life. That is a dark well. Graham Andakupam. And therefore Prahlad Maharaj is saying that Hitva Atma Kupam, Hitva Atma Patam, that one should protect himself falling into this dark well. And if you are already fallen, then we have to find some way to come out, call out or come out. Somebody should take us out from dark well. And what will take us out? The teachings of Mahajan, like Prahlad Maharaj. Yeah. So Grihastha life is a harsh reality, but this is also an important ashram. Now let's look at the other part of Grihastha ashram. That Grihastha ashram is the basis of all three ashrams. Brahmacharis, Vanprasthas, Sannyasis, they all depend on Grihasthas. So Grihastha ashram is the basis of the Varnashram system. But Grihastha ashram, when seen as an ashram, prepares us to the ultimate goal of life. But when it is seen as a place of pleasure, then we are fallen in the dark well. So I think the harsh reality of the world is that, yes, it is a dark well. There's no denial. Those of us who are Grihasthas have been Grihasthas for 10, 15, 30, 40, 50 years. We know it is dark well. So what is the solution? Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Hari Mashrayet. Don't remain there for too long. At least don't remain there, for too long, thinking that it will give us some kind of pleasure. It won't. So Hari Mashrayet. Just take shelter of Lord Hari. Now, when we see the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, the teachings of Rishabdev, we see the harsh reality of Grihastha ashram. So we have to accept the words found in Srimad Bhagavatam and then prepare ourselves, at least our consciousness. The other side of Grihastha ashram is that it is the basis and it is a safe way to somehow come out of material existence. It is a safe way. Like Kashyap Muni says to Diti, that Grihastha ashram is like living in a fort. So the kings used to live in forts because the forts are protected. Enemies come, they can't really conquer if a king is living in a fort, a big fort. There are so many forts in India, you see. All of them are on the mountains. So Grihastha life is like that. It's a protected fort. So accepting the teachings of sadhus, Vaishnavas, Mahajanas, and from Srimad Bhagavatam, those of us who are living in Grihastha ashram, we have to live like Krishna says, Padamapatram Ibambhasam, lotus leaf. Like a lotus leaf or lotus flower. It grows in the water, grows in the dirt, but becomes the most beautiful thing to be offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. So lotus flower is like that. In the material world, the most beautiful flower, the most beautiful thing is lotus. Kunti Maharani is saying, Namaha Pankajanaabhaya, Namaha Pankajamalane, Namaha Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangrahe. So she is comparing all Krishna's limbs with Pankaj, lotus. Yeah. So in Grastha ashram, although yes, we have fallen in the dark well, so-called dark well, but by the mercy of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, we can prepare our consciousness to become the lotus that can be offered at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Shyam Sundar, Sri Sri Sachinandan, Mithai Chand, Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, or Acharyas and Vaishnavas. So that is the success of Grastha Ashram. Ashram is not meant for material pleasure, but is meant for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So I think we have now come to the end. There's only 1 minute left, so I'll leave that 1 minute for Vidas Prabhu and Vidar Prabhu to say something. Hare Krishna.
Just a quick one. Wonderful class. Good round of applause for that. I have a question. I mean, there's a dark well, but look at the answer. Srila Prabhupada called himself a dark well, your ever well wisher.
No.
So there's a well there. So he's the one taking us out. So you're ever well wisher. So he's good at everybody said they're dark and good. So that's one. And the other one, I really have it. You said if somebody goes into material education, there's lots of anxieties or leads to further anxieties. But surely, even the devotees are full of anxieties. And you answered it all right then. The way to go. So that those anxieties are going to end at certain point when you become a devotee. But if you're not a devotee, they'll continue to multiply. That's our understanding. Otherwise, somebody will think that surely, what about devotees? They have anxieties. What about their anxieties? You're not addressing that. So could we say that the materialist anxiety just increases to infinity? Whereas when you turn to devotion, those anxieties, chinta, turns into chintan, because now you're thinking of Krishna. So little clarity on that.
Yes, such a beautiful question.
मैंने क्वेश्चन पूछा आंसर तो दे
आपका क्वेश्चन है कि कमेंट है क्वेश्चन है अच्छा पहले अदर्स प्रो so this is such a beautiful question. That what's the difference when we see devotees? They are also in anxiety, and karmis are also in anxiety. So what's the difference? The difference is of consciousness. Yeah. So when the devotees take anxiety for Krishna, Guru and Krishna, that anxiety is glorified. Like Prabhupada in America told the devotees when he became weak and ill, the devotee said, Prabhupada, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So Prabhupada said, no, don't take away my privilege to struggle for Krishna. Let me struggle for Krishna. Devotees will also have anxiety. But the devotees who take anxiety to serve Krishna, they are glorified. Like Haridas Prabhu, Vidura Prabhu, and all the managers here in the temple, they take so much anxiety. This temple room you see, it's a beautiful temple room. It took years of anxiety, years of hard work. So those kind of anxieties are glorified. And we should be looking for those anxieties, not running away.
like many do.
No. Yeah. So those anxieties are glorified because they are pertaining to Krishna. Like Mother Yashoda is so anxious. Okay, what shall I cook? So he doesn't feel hungry. Okay, what should I put him on? Which clothes should I put him on? So he's not feeling a cold or harsh weather. He can protect himself. So Mother Yashoda is taking so much anxiety, constantly thinking, what should I do? So he's protected. He's happy. And similarly, The gopis are taking anxiety. What shall we do? So Krishna feels happy. So these anxieties are transcendental anxieties. In Vaikuntha, there are no anxieties. But transcendental anxieties always exist. So this is just a question of consciousness. It's like a devotee who just educated himself and trying to find a job also is an anxiety. Because you need certain platform or some stability to perform sadhana and be situated peacefully in the Grihastha ashram. So they also take anxiety. The example I said, this devotee took his time. He had to fill out 300 applications to find one job. But he found job in investment banking, and it's a very well-paid job. So after finding a job, then he got to house and started a program, preaching. So that provided him a platform. So for devotees, it's very important. Just like Prabhupada took so much anxieties to build big temples, Vrindavan, Mayapur, Bombay, Hyderabad, these big temples. And there was so much anxiety, particularly in Mumbai, so much anxiety to build Juhu Beach, so much anxiety. Prabhupada literally fought with this person who wanted to cheat the devotee, so much anxiety. But that kind of anxiety is glorified. So as devotees, we have to simply work on our consciousness. Because Grihastha ashram, when we say ashram, the consciousness will change. Even if you have the best room, the best facility, but as soon as you say Grihastha ashram, this is an ashram, the consciousness will change. Yes, okay, it's a beautiful room, nice facility. It's an ashram. It's simply meant for serving Krishna. So as long as Krishna wants, we will remain in this facility. And if he wants, we'll go to Vrindavan, maybe live simpler. Ashram. So consciousness. So when the consciousness changes, then that makes a difference. So you know this song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Manas Deha Geha, Je Kichu Mora, Arpilu Tua Pade, Nanda Kishora. Janak Janani, Dayitu Tanaya, Prabhu Guru Pati, Tuhu Sarvamaya. So when a Grihastha has this kind of consciousness, complete Krishna consciousness, this is complete Krishna consciousness. This is the example that my mind, my body, my home, my house, whatever I have, my dear Lord, O son of Nanda Maharaj, I offer this unto your lotus feet. So when the devotees have house, they think of Krishna's house. When they have a kitchen, okay, Krishna's kitchen. Temple room, Krishna's temple room. When they were building the glory of India in Delhi, I found this was so beautiful. Every department had transcendental names. Here also devotees have transcendental names. So Prabhupada's account office, immediately the consciousness changes. Okay, account office. So there are qualified accountants sitting there. But it's outside it says Prabhupada's accounts office. There are chartered accountants sitting there. Devotees and some who are just simply working. But it says Prabhupada's accounts office. Immediately consciousness changes. So similarly, when we have a house, a nice house, if we just simply see this, Krishna's home, immediately the consciousness changes. Whether I live here or I don't live here, it's Krishna's home. As long as Krishna allows me, I live here. If Krishna doesn't allow me, I live somewhere else. It's okay. I can live in the ashram, I can live on the street, like Prabhupada was. Prabhupada didn't want to move from his Mayapur kutir to the big building, long building. He said, no, but I'm happy here. So the devotees had to convince him, say, Prabhupada, yes, we know you are happy here in your bhajan kutir. But There's so many politicians, many officials coming to see you. So it will be nice if you just move to Long Building. Then Papa said, yeah, that's okay. So then he moved to a very nice facility. So it's a question of consciousness. पुजारी महाराज कोई कोई कठिन प्रश्न मत पूछना है ऐसा हाँ
Like we know, there is slight difference between the astrology and the So some are suggesting to go for it after a particular user. Is it required only to the GMAD or just the So the GSM for those are already seen other Are they seen to go in the forest after a particular way or is only to apply to GMAD?
So Grihamedi will not easily leave home. So this is meant for both Grihamedi and Grihasthas. Even Grihasthas, after a certain age, should start traveling. I mean, for many, many years, we have seen Haridas Prabhu and Manjari Mataji have been traveling before the corona. So this is what the Grihasthas do, they travel. But when you see Haridas Prabhu and Manjari Mataji in Mayapur, Vrindavan, what are they doing? Engaging in bhajan. And maybe more intensely than they do here. Isn't it? It's the holy dham. So it's meant for both. Even for grihasthas who are well situated in their personal consciousness. They should still go. Take the time out. Go to the holy dham. Vidur Prabhu was in Mayapur recently. Okay. So those experiences are invaluable. Even the touch of the holy dham is invaluable. When you go to Mayapur, Vrindavan, the consciousness, the ecstasy, everything changes. Yeah, it's manifold. When Mahaprabhu came to Mathura, his ecstasy increased 100 times. But when he entered Vrindavan, his ecstasy increased 1,000 times. So chanting, doing bhajan in Vrindavan is 1,000 times more potent than doing bhajan elsewhere. So well-situated grihasthas, those who are role models for the community, they also take their time. How many years Haridas Prabhu spent traveling? So that is a role model. Grihasthas, Vidur Prabhu has been going. So this is what the grihasthas do. Even if you have a temple service, responsible service, like being temple president, vice president, guardian, even if you have those kind of responsibilities, still Prabhupada wanted devotees to go for Mayapur Vrindavan festivals. They spend at least 1 month, a few weeks in Mayapur Vrindavan, in Kartik or Gaur Purnima, or any time of the year. But particularly Gaur Purnima in Mayapur and Kartik in Vrindavan. Very, very potent. There's nothing comparable. Spending 1 month of Kartik in Vrindavan is so potent. It will completely transform anybody. The consciousness. Every day is a festival. So it's very, very potent. So it's meant for both. But particularly, Prahlad Maharaj considers his father Hiranyakashipu as a Grihamedi. So he is directing him that you should go. But the teaching is for everyone. Even if we have the temple responsibilities, we should take some time out and go to Vrindavan and Mayapur. Hare Krishna. Kantrashimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Gaur Pramanande. Hare Hare Bol.
Thank you. Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Jai Radhe. You sing? Bhajan? One of the ladies can.
जयो जयो गौर चांदे आरती को शोभा जानावी तातावानी जगमनलोबा जानावी जगमनलोभा दाखिने निताय चान कामे गदधारा दाखिने निताय चान कामे गदधारा काटे अद्वैत श्री वासा छत्रधारा सीकाते अद्वैता श्री वासा छत्रधारा वसीयते गौरचान रत्ना सिंहासने वसीयते गौरचान रत्ना सिंहासने आरती करेन ब्रह्मा आदि देवगणे आरती करेन ब्रह्मा आदि देवगणे हरि आदि गौरी चामर दुलाया नरा हरि आदि गौरी चामर दुलाया संजय मुकुंद वासु कोशाधिकाया संजय मुकुंद वासु कोशाधिकाया शंकाबाजे घंटाबाजे बाजे करताला शंकाबाजे घंटाबाजे बाजे माधुर बाजे शंखाबाजे घंटाबाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंट बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंट बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंका बाजे घंट बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल 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 बहु कोटि चंद्र जीनी वदन उज्ज्वला बहु कोटि चंद्र जीनी उज्ज्वला काला देशे वनमाला कोरे Namayo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namayo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी भावत में
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 नीलाचल चंद्र स्वामी जगन्नाथ नीलाचल माधव प्यारे जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय महारानी जय सुभद्रा
जय बलदेव जय महारानी जय सुभद्रा
जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि विष्णु प्रिया प्रार्थन नदिया भिखारी
जय सच्चिदानंद
प्रार्थन नदिया भिखारी जय नित्य चांद जय नित्य चांद जय नित्य चांद देकर चक्र
जय नित्य चांद जय नित्य चांद
निमाय निताय जय निमाय निताय निमाय निताय जय निमाय निताय नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम नित्यानंद राम जय नित्यानंद राम
नित्यानंद राम
गौरा गौरा गौर हरि गौर गौरा गौर हरि
गौरा 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 हरि गौरा 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 हरि
गौरंग 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 गौरंग
गौरंग गौरंग गौरंग गौरंग
नित्यानंद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल 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 हरि
जय परमहंस प्रभुपाद जी का आचार्य श्री श्रीमद कृष्ण कृपा मूर्ति ऐसी भक्तिमान हाशिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जय परमहंस प्रभुपाद जी का आचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद कृष्ण कृपा मूर्ति भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस श्री गौरकिशोर बाबा जी महाराज की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस सच्चिदानंद श्री भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर जी महाराज की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जय गोपाल दास रघुनाथ सत गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासति गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रज भूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री नवदीप मावर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुर जगन्नाथ धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देव तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री श्री सचिनंदन ताई चांद की जय। पिताय गौर प्रमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Call the names for nothing of the trade. No, you can
So Hare, it's a bit too loud. Hare Krishna. That's a fantastic program we had, and thank you so much for coming, Raghupati and Dhanpatni, Vinod Manjari. So nice to have you. Felt good. It felt good to have devotees here. So we're going to remember the following names for Nrsingadev's blessings. The departed souls were Brij Sehgal, Diluram Roy, Suvir Pasi, and Subhash Patel. We were recently in Bharat. One of the things we did was sort out my father's, property matters, and we met a very nice advocate, Subhash Patel, and suddenly we found out he's passed away. He's only 49. He was so good. I mean, we had total confidence in him. He was so good. I'm not sure. I only found out today. Yeah, so adding his name. Amongst the leaders, we are continuing to pray for the well-being of His Holiness Jaipatak Swami, His Holiness Lokanath Swami, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami, and His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. We've added that name today because he's had an operation which didn't quite go as well as expected. And many of the Iskcon gurus and leaders who may be suffering around the world. We're also praying for the well-being of Jyoti Malan, Vinod Manjari Devi. How are you, by the way? We've been praying for you. Improving. Okay, we'll carry on saying your name then.
We feel better having your darshan.
So Vinod Manjari Devidasi, Sudesh Khular, Bhaktin Rita and Lester, Rita Vargama's mother, Prem Manjari, Shraddha Devi, Srimati, Prem Malan, Santi Ben Solanki, Chi Guru Srinivas, Vijay Sima Reddy, Amratal Chandegra, my brother-in-law, suddenly he's in hospital. He has some infection problems. Gora Hari Prabhu and his mother, John Davinda, Kishaba Thakur, Daniel House, and Gotan Kemche. Gotan Kemche Damara. She's got knee problems, so we'll include her today. She also got hearing problem, yeah. And also many other devotees suffering around the world, and the many victims of the Russia-Ukraine war. And for the general well-being of the whole world. What a mess it's in, isn't it? Yes. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Namaste Narashimhaya. Lad Dayane Hira पूर्वक्षः ito no simha parto no simha yato yato yami tato no simha bahen simho hridayen simho narasimhamadim charanam tapasye tava kara kamala bhare naka Odbhuta Shringam Dolita Hiranya Koshipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Makara Hare Jaya Nasimhadev Jaya Nasimhadev Nasimhadev Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada भक्त विनाश लक्ष्मण भगवान की जय भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की जय ताई गूढ़ प्रमानंद
Hare, again once, Hare Krishna, thank you for coming all the way from last year, and we hope we can see you soon again. Yeah, I'm having feedback from this one. Okay, just one announcement for the coming week. We got on Tuesday, it's Akshay Tritiya, Chandan Yatra, beginning with Chandan Yatra, I think it's Akshay Tritiya. So I'm not sure what we'll do something on the lordships. Yeah. I don't think it's hot enough in this country though. It's getting colder in this country, isn't it? 11 degrees today. My goodness, I had to put my hat on. Okay, but definitely very, very, very hot in Bharat. It's very hot in Bharat, more than normal, they're saying. It's incredible. Okay. Thank you for all those who tuned in. And apologies, I don't know if they're necessary, but for all running the program, because trying to stop this wonderful class just to stick to time would have been injustice. would have been wrong. But everybody enjoyed it, didn't it? Yeah.
Normally ask me at 7:30.
Normally. Yeah. So, but
Why apologize?
no. Today's honestly, it was a great program. It feels like a festival. And lucky you didn't come last week because today's prasad was a little better than previous weeks. Okay. we've been trying. We are slowly the opening process is slowly increasing bit by bit, and so this is great. Yeah, there's
Tested it yet?
no, not yet. Well, we are getting to some normality slowly. Okay, we're getting there. Just a heads up on the 15th of this month, it's Nasing Chaturdasi. The whole topic of church time. You're booked. It's a Sunday. Yeah, wonderful. So that's only 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks on Sunday. So let's get ready for that. And then on the 4th of June, we as a temple are putting a tent up that weekend is Saturday. 4th is a Saturday. That whole weekend is dedicated to Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations throughout the country. So we're putting a tent up and doing some programs on a little stage in the tent. And we're also doing a procession of our Jagannath deities around the little Rath Yatra we do. So we're doing that. So that's another, save this date announcement, Saturday, 4th of June. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
No, we did a song already, and it was Rani, Elizabeth, Rani.
Okay. Who wants to say something? Somebody raise their hand.
Oh, yeah. Let's give the mic. Just go over there. Wish her happy birthday.
All right. She's okay? She's fine. Okay. Oh, should have. Okay. So, Vrindavan Ishwari, beautiful daughter of Raghupati and Vinod Manjari. It's a birthday today. So, can we sing her happy birthday? If you had brought her here, we would have made a cake for her.
That was a mistake.
Yeah. Okay, so right, Vrindavanishwari. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vrindavanishwari. Happy birthday to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, dear Vrindavanishwari. Hare Krishna to you.
Left hand on your heart and think of Vrindavaneshwari, and you can't put it somewhere, not to the deity, but anyway, through the deity. Chant Mahamantra once, very slowly.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Speech, everybody, you have to speak on her behalf. Come on, I want to hear you. So she should know.
Hare Krishna. So I just wanted to thank you for your kind blessings for our daughter Vrindavaneshwari. She was born on 1st of May. It was very hot in Vrindavan. So I rang Bhaktichari Maharaj and I said, she's born today, and what will be her name? So he said, she's born in Vrindavan, so just call her Vrindavaneshwari. So that's how she got her name. She is 24. She wanted to go to London on her own, so with her friends, so she is in London. But we wanted to come here. In fact, actually, she's working in Coventry. Yeah. So she works for Jaguar. So we thought we'll go here, but she wanted to be with her friends. So I'm really grateful that you have blessed her, and please keep blessing her so she becomes Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Will be sir. Yes. What's yes? Please come. You know Sharia Vidyajal, yes? Yeah. Please come. And there's a little clue that I think it goes to Avanti School in Leicester. Yeah. Excellent. Well done.
Mahaprasade Govinde Namo Brahmane Vaishnave Swalpapune Vatan Rajan Vishwashune Vijayate Sharira Vidyajar Jarendriyataikar Jiva Fele Vishishagare Dharmate Jivayati Logo Maya Sudharmati ताके जेता कठिन संसारे न बड़ो दया माय हरि बार जीव जय सब सारन बाय से अनामृत पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमे डाको श्री चैतन्य नीता प्रेमे डाको श्री चैतन्य नीता जय निमाय जय निताय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री गदाधा श्री अद्वैत गदाधा श्री प्रसादि गौरवत वृंदा Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Ram
Krishna Prasadam ki. Are you hungry? No, they're not. I couldn't hear you. Are you hungry for prasadam? Bring it on, Jai Radhe. Jai Radhe.
All right.
Bring the prasad.
Can we please just lay the sheet, please? Plastic sheeting, and put all the mic stands away, please. Wrap all the cables up. Thank you. Hare Krishna. And